Hi, this is Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this month's Project of the Month. This month we're going to do a holiday burp cloth. I want you to put your cursor on your Floriani icon and double left mouse click. This will open our Floriani program. As soon as our program opens, the first page that always comes up is our My Floriani Today screen. Notice that our new December designs are up, and I want you to remember to left mouse click on your heading, your banner heading here, and it will take you directly to the website to download your designs. Now, we have taught this in last month's Project of the Month. If you are new, ask your instructor if you can possibly go back and do last month's at another time. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, of course, I always point out in our What's New Floriani, our bar right here, I want you to notice our How to Download videos, which if we have any new videos up on the website, you can go ahead and download them, and these are all video tutorials that go into your software. Also, don't forget to download your Floriani workbook and lesson files if you have not already done that. And then our software support tab is always important to you because this is where you go anytime that you have a question or an issue with Floriani software. Whether it's as simple as how do I change the color on my design, or I have an error message from trying to install, this is where you always go. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to come to Create a New Design. I want you to left mouse click on the Create a New Design icon at the bottom left hand corner. And up we have our Workspace. Now remember, our Workspace is always very important. Now I neglected to open a little program that helps me instructing. This program is called Click Tricks. It comes from a website called mpseminars.com. This will work on top of any program that you are teaching, and it runs about $50. Now, the reason I'm saying this is usually the people that are listening to my video are not necessarily my students, but a lot of times my instructors. This program is wonderful because it allows you to tell your mouse to do different things. So now I want to talk about our Workspace. Now, by holding down my left mouse key, I'm just going to draw my little box here. Now, this is the Click Tricks program for my instructors. This is my Workspace, and we want to make this always work for us. So the first thing I need to do is tell it what size my grid system needs to be. Now, you can change by going along your ruler bar, along the top or down the left-hand side, by right mouse clicking. You can change first between metric and inches. Now at this point today we're going to work in inches. We want to show our grid, and I want to go down to the words Grid Settings. So I'm going to left mouse click on Grid Settings, and I want you to notice I'm going to bring up our Grid Settings box. Now right here, this allows us to change the settings on our grid. Now, I do have my Maintain Aspect Ratio box selected, which means when I change one of these numbers, the other number is going to change in direct proportion to it because I've told it to maintain my aspect ratio. Usually we have this check mark on, but occasionally we need our horizontal and our vertical grid system different. But today we are going to come in here and we are going to work with a 1/2 inch grid system. So I'm just going to type in 0.5 and I'm going to say OK. Now I do have a 1/2 inch grid system. Now we are going to do a holiday burp cloth, and what I did is I purchased the pre-folded diapers, and I measured the face. And by that I mean when I fold this diaper into how the burp cloth is going to lay over the shoulder or facing when you put it in a package to give it away, a present, a gift. And I measured the space showing on the burp cloth I purchased is a 9-inch by 6-inch rectangle. So I always draw in my design area, because I find that if I do that, I never get surprised at how this garment fits, or this design fits on a garment or anything else. Now we're going to come up to the top here, and I want you to notice I have a tool right here on my top toolbar, and this is our artwork tool. I'm going to left mouse click on my down arrow, and I am going to select the rectangle by left mouse clicking on it. Now we are going to draw a rectangle on our screen, and it does not matter the size. We're going to adjust that in a moment. Hold down your left mouse key, and I want you to draw this rectangle. Just hold down your left mouse key, don't let go, and make a rectangle by moving your mouse. I'm going to let go, and I have created a rectangle on my screen. Notice that in my sequence view on the right hand bottom corner, I have in here, it says I have one item, color number 1, which corresponds with the first color on our color bar. And if I click my down arrow, it's going to tell me I'm just working with artwork. Now I'm going to come up to the top left-hand toolbar, the top tool, which is my select tool, and I'm going to left mouse click on it, and I can select, using my sequence view, I can click on that color number 1, and notice it selects that item. Now we know this is artwork. If we look in our properties box, it tells us you are working with artwork. So it already knows what we're doing. And what we're going to do is we are going to transform that artwork. We're going to change the size of it. So I'm going to left mouse click on my transform tab, and it is 6 inches wide and it's 9 inches tall. Whoops. And you know what I didn't do is I did not deselect my maintain aspect ratio, because with that, notice that it was changing my height and width proportionately. I want to define both the height and width. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to left mouse click on my maintain aspect ratio and deselect that box. So now I can say I want you to be 6 inches wide and 9 inches tall. Now I will apply that by left mouse clicking on my apply tab. And now I do have a box, and we're going to come up and we're going to use our zoom window right here. I'm going to left mouse click on my down arrow and tell it to fit the screen. So there I see my entire face of my burp cloth right in front of me. I have 6 by 9 inches. Now I'm going to show you another little feature in Floriani software that I think is absolutely wonderful. Now we have this, and I'm going to make sure, notice that I'm not quite on the lines because I'm not quite centered. I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard and use my arrow keys to just nudge that up so that I have got this centered. And the reason is I want to make sure that my box is resting on my grid lines, because we're going to depend on this grid for a couple of important things today. So I want to make sure that box is right on top. And you will see also that the box is centered in our start end icon. Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to put my cursor on the ruler bar. Okay, now our ruler bar, remember, is this bar up here. And we also have the ruler bar runs down the left-hand side. Well, for what I want to do right now, I'm going to use the top ruler bar. Now I'm just going to put my cursor on it. I'm going to hold down my left mouse key and I'm going to pull down, and I want you to notice you're pulling down a blue dotted line. This just gives us a visual. Now on this burp cloth, we're going to sew a border fabric on it. So we need to know exactly where our design, the bottom of our design, is going to rest. So I've done the measuring and figuring, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to put this line. I'm going to go 1/2 inch, 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3.5 inches up is where I'm going to lay this blue line. Now I'm going to let go of my cursor and notice that line stays there. It's just a placement, but I can see it. We can also pull lines over from the side. If I put my cursor on the side toolbar, I could bring another line over. So if I needed to say center there or center here, I can do all that as well. If I wanted to box in my design on this diaper, I could do that as well for this burp cloth. So you can see we've got a lot of options here. Now I don't need these lines, so I'm going to pull them back over. But no, you can pull out as many lines as you need if you need to pull out a line for placement. So with this here, I am going to now, we're going to edit a design. And we're going to edit an existing design that we have in our Floriani software. I want you to come up to your monogram designs. If you notice on the top toolbar, we have the last section of tools here. I have an A, which is my text tool. I have an M, which is my monogram tool. Then I have a book with an A on it. Those are my text designs. And then I have a book with a little M on it. Those are my monogram designs. We are going to left mouse click on our monogram designs. And I'm going to look through here. And I have a wreath design in here that I like. Notice it's MON 64022. I want you to left mouse click on that, and notice it will just come up centered on our screen here. Now we're going to have to do some stuff to this. Number one, we're going to enlarge it, and we are going to edit it. It's going to have to be edited some. And the first thing we're going to do is edit. And then when I enlarge it, it will be perfect. So I'm going to notice that it is below our blue line. We're not going to worry about that at this moment in time, but when we finish, we want the ends of these bows just resting on this line. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. I want you to notice at the bottom, we have our color bar. And notice I've got 8 colors, and then I have the 4 colors that the wreath itself brought in. I don't need colors 2 through 7. They're just in my way. So we're going to come over to the far right hand corner of our screen. And I want you to notice 3 icons that are there. There is a plus sign, a minus sign, and a picture that's supposed to look like a computer screen. So I'm going to now show you, if I hit the green plus, notice it's going to continue to add colors to my color bar. So if I needed to add a bunch more colors, I could do that very easily. And I can put as many as I want. There's no limit. Next to that is our little minus sign. Now if I left mouse click on that, it will remove every color except the ones we're using. So notice, we've got the blue because we drew a blue box. We have the 2 greens, the red and the pink, that is in our design. So the next thing I want you to do is we are going to edit this design. So I'm going to zoom in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on color number 5. That is off-white. We are going to change this in a moment, and I left mouse clicked on it just so I could show you that it would bring up our screen. And notice that this is in Madeira rayon. I have got Madeira up. So I could come down and change this all to Floriani. But we're going to stick with it just like it is for the moment. Now what I want to do is over here in my sequence view, I'm going to click on color number 5 as well. Now notice it selected everything. That is because this design is grouped. I want to work just with the ribbon right now. So what I'm going to do is, with everything selected, I'm going to right mouse click, and I want to go to the word ungroup. Now if I come over here and click on color number 5, all I get is color number 5. With that selected, I want you to come up again to your zoom box, our view window. It tells us we're at 46%. We are going to click on that down arrow, and I'm going to tell this I want it to put just the selection as big as possible on my screen. So it's going to zoom in to my selected portion. So left mouse click, and notice it zoomed into what you've selected. So now it's big enough for us to kind of work with here. Now this design, because of this ribbon, if I enlarge it big enough, we're going to put a monogram in here. If I enlarge this to put it big enough, the problem I'm going to have is it's going to be too big for anybody's hoops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my ribbon different. So I want you to come up here to your second tool on your left-hand toolbar. This is your lasso tool. Yeehaw, we're going to lasso it. So select that tool, and notice right here there's a break. I like this part of my bow. I am going to delete this part of my bow. So we are going to, with a series of left mouse clicks, I am going to surround this part of my bow. Now when I right mouse click, it will select just that portion. So with it selected, you can either hit delete on your keyboard, or you can come up to the word edit on your top toolbar, left mouse click on the word edit, and you can tell it to delete it that way as well. We have just deleted that portion of our design. Now again, click on your lasso tool, second tool down on your left-hand toolbar, and we again are going to lasso on the right-hand side. Now notice we have selected the same portion of the ribbon that we got rid of on the left-hand side, and this time I'm just going to use the delete key that's on the keyboard of my computer. And notice I have deleted, I have changed this design. So I want you to see how easy it is to work and maybe select portions of a design, delete sections. That was very easy to do. Now with that done, I want to take this pink ribbon. Now notice in our sequence view, it's looking a little strange, because since we're working in this color, it's opened the color up, and it's showing us, if I click on, in my sequence view, click on each aspect, it's going to go to each section as it was digitized in this ribbon. Now we could have actually run through this to delete those portions as well, but in this case this would have taken longer. Now with it like this, we're going to come up and notice that on this color number 5 here, we've got a minus sign, an eyeball, and a lock. Then it tells us color number 5. Well, I want you to click, left mouse click on the minus sign and close that color back up. So see, if we left mouse click on any of the minus signs, it closes them up so we don't have so much information available. But when we need the information, just by left mouse clicking on it again, we could open that section back up. What I want to do is click on color number 5, left mouse click, and it has selected it. Now I don't want a pink bow on my Christmas burp cloth. So I want that bow to be the same color of red as my berries. So I am going to bring my cursor down. Along the bottom you see your colors. I want to change it to color number 4. So I am going to right mouse click on color number 4, And notice that I now have a black box around color number 4. And if I click off, you notice that I have now changed my ribbon to color number 4. Now another little trick in your sequence view, of course I've worked with that color again, so it opened it all up for me. So I've got all this information again. Now of course I could scroll up and go hit that minus sign again and close it. Or if you just put your cursor anywhere in your sequence view, right mouse click and tell it to collapse all, it'll close all your colors up. So now we are down to color number 1, which is our blue box, and now we have 2, 3, and 4. We no longer need color number 5, correct? So let's come over and hit our minus sign again. Now usually I do that at the very end. When I finish working with a design, I automatically hit the minus and remove any extra colors that are in there. So now we've got our wreath on screen. Now let's go ahead to our view box and tell it to fit again. So there we have our wreath with its little ribbon where we have modified it. Now we are going to select the whole wreath. Now there is a couple of ways we can do this. We could lasso the wreath. Now, I'm just going to show you some different stuff today. We could lasso it, and when I right mouse click, my wreath is all selected. Notice we don't want the blue box selected. Or I could come over here and I could click on color number 2, holding down my control key, click on color 3, continue to hold your control key, and color number 4. So if you just need to select a couple of colors, maybe to change them or do something with those, you can use your sequence view and your control key to select those colors, which makes it very easy. Now with this selected, I am going to change the size of this, and we are going to transform it. So right mouse click, go down to the word transform, and notice it's all here for us. Now what I need to do is I need to decide how big this could actually be. And I want it to kind of fit in about a 4 by 4 area. And what I did first, because I want to make sure that it will fit in everybody's hoops. So we are going to change this height to 4 inches. Now, before I do that, notice our maintain aspect ratio box is not selected. I do not want to skew this design, so I'm going to put a check mark in here, and I am going to change the height to 4 inches. Notice the width changed proportionately, and let's apply that. Now our wreath is the size, a bigger size, because we want it big enough to be able to stick a letter in there that we can see if we're going to use a monogram letter. Now we are going to move this up. Now you can put your cursor right on that. Anytime it gets by the X, notice your cursor has changed into a hand. It says I've grabbed the design. Holding down your left mouse key, let's just move it straight up. Now what I want is see how I've rested this ribbon along that blue line? Because see, we're going to put a little border across here, and we need enough room for our border to be on with our design and still have enough room above it. So it will look attractive when we have finished. So we've got this down, and now I'm going to click off of it. So that all looks pretty good. Now what I want to do is I want to put a letter, and I'm going to use, I'm not going to put 3 letters, so I'm not going to pick my monogram tool, but this is essentially going to be a monogram. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to left mouse click on my A. That is your text tool. Up here at your top toolbar, we have our text tool. Now how do I know I selected it? Well, there's an A stuck to my cursor. Now I'm going to just click and there is an A inside my wreath, and I haven't got it placed or anything. Now for me, I'm going to use a Q. My last name is Quinn. Now you've got some options here. If you can use the baby's last name's monogram, their letter for their last name, or you could put a giant A for Aiden. And I'm going to show you, we're going to put a name across this. We're just going to pretty it up a little bit. But I chose to use a Q for Quinn. And what we're going to do here is we are going to make this 2 inches tall. And I chose, on mine, I chose the Bordeaux alphabet. And I'm going to apply that. Now I'm going to take this Q and make sure you got a hand. And I'm going to place it where it looks attractive in here. And you've got these grid lines, so notice I can make sure it's pretty well centered with my grid lines. Now this Q, I want it to be red. So with it selected, I'm going to right mouse click on the red. Notice it's now changed to match. And I like where that Q's placed. It looks fine to me. I might bring it down just a hair. And remember, we can use our little arrows to nudge it if we need to. Now we have placed that Q in there. Now the next thing we're going to do is, again with our lettering tool selected, just click anywhere on your screen out here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the name Aiden. Excuse me. You're going to have to write whatever name you have. And realize that if your name's very long, you may have to adjust your wreath. You may have to select it and kind of pull those arms out a little bit to have some room. Or you could put the name across the whole thing, wreath and all. Now I'm going to put Aiden, and we are going to now make this letter 1 inch tall. And I'm going to apply that. And I want Aiden to be in green, so I'm going to right mouse click on the green. Excuse me, I have got allergies and they're bad today. Now with Aiden here, I'm going to again make sure it turns into a hand. I want you to come and center this where it looks attractive, and it depends what kind of letters you have. Like I have a Y that hangs down that I've got to deal with. So you have to just kind of look at how your letters look. Now I've got Aiden across the Q, and I think it looks very nice. I'm going to do now, we are going to select this Q, and we are going to come in here and we're going to go to our fill tab. We are going to change the fill on this. The first reason we're going to do it is, if I measure it, notice it's too wide. It says tip, use a fill. Do not think you can increase a satin stitch and tell it to stay a satin. You can still give it a smooth look like a satin by picking that fill, but you want to make sure that you do not have satin stitches that are over 7 millimeters wide. So we know that this one's going to be over because our magic ruler, remember we have a ruler on our left-hand toolbar that you can click with your left mouse key, and let's zoom to fit selection. So you can see this real big. Now I've got my ruler, it's stuck to my cursor. Let's measure. Now even though I don't have my measurements in millimeters, my ruler knows what I'm doing, and it says tip, use a fill. So we want to change this satin stitch to a fill. So come to your fill tab under your properties, over here we're in our properties box, come to the fill tab and left mouse click on the word fill. Now I want an embossed fill. Now you can pick what you want, but I actually picked 101 for mine. Oh no, I didn't. I take that back. I picked 100 for mine. I liked that little quilted look fill. It's like little diamonds. But you could pick whatever you like. Now when I pick that, I'm going to apply it. Now you can't see it, but if I turned on my stitch ends, over on your left-hand toolbar, you have an icon that looks like a piece of thread with three red boxes on it. If you left mouse click on that, you can see that it's put in the stitch in, so you can see how that fill's going to look. Turn it back off because it'll get you crazy. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure my Aiden, and it's still within satin range, so I'm going to leave it as a satin. Now we've got one more thing we're going to do here. Now this is all taken care of as far as it's got our design. Now you could have put, like I say, I picked a Q for his last name. You could have put a giant A in here and put Aiden across the A. Either is acceptable. This is just a cute little creative burp cloth. Now think, you could do this for any holiday. Think of just what you could do with this as gifts for babies. I mean, baby gifts are always, we always need something. This is a wonderful gift. I don't know anybody that doesn't like getting burp cloths for the babies. And by putting the monogramming has become so huge. And the bigger the monograms, the better. So you can see that you've got a whole lot of options playing with this here. Now we are using, and I want to fit this to, I want to zoom out on this. I want to see everything. Fit it to screen so I can see it all. Because this diaper, these diapers have plies. Now I happen to like the 6-ply bird's eye. And what they've done is in the middle of the diaper they've added extra plies so it's more absorbent. But you know, everybody has a preference. I just like the real heavy ones. When we embroider on anything, and just think of this, you're learning for whether you're doing a jacket, you're doing diapers, anything, or those blankets that have a couple of layers. You have got to keep those layers from shifting on top of each other. You can certainly secure the bottom layer because you stuck it to the stabilizer or you've ironed it on. But with this, you can't control how those top layers are going to do. So we have to baste them down. So we are going to create a series of basting stitches. We will use water-soluble thread in our bobbin to do the basting. Then it will come out very easily when we steam the back of our design, or I actually use a damp cloth and just touch it, give it a few seconds, and that basting thread will dissolve and pull right out. But what it's done is it's held my diaper together so I don't get any shifting or puckering. So anytime you do something with layers, go ahead and baste them together. So we're going to create basting stitches here to keep this. Now I'm going to collapse so I can see my colors. Now we're going to use color number 1. So I'm going to come to my toolbar, my color bar, excuse me, down along the bottom. I'm going to right mouse click on color number 1. Whoops, yeah, okay. I want to make sure I didn't change any colors in my design here. Okay, I'm going to right mouse click on color number 1, and then I'm going to come to the top toolbar. Now along the top toolbar are our stitches for digitizing. I'm going to get the run stitch. That is my little backwards black C. I'm going to left mouse click on it. So now I've selected it and color number 1. And I've got my artwork box here to kind of guide me. What I'm going to do, now of course you're going to have to consider the size of your hoop. I'm using my 200 by 300 millimeter hoop. So all of this is going to fit just fine. If you're using a smaller hoop, make sure your basting area is a little smaller. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start down at the bottom where my burp cloth is going to be laying in my frame, and I'm going to left mouse click. Now we've got these grid lines. I'm going to come straight to the top, left mouse click, and I want you to scoot over 2 grid lines an inch. We're going to base this in an inch grid. That'll be plenty. Left mouse click, come all the way to the bottom. Left mouse click, notice it's leaving these blue boxes. Come over an inch, left mouse click, up, left, left, all the way down. And like I say, Realize the area you've got in your hoop and adjust this basting accordingly. Maybe your hoop's 5 by 7 and you're just going to baste down a 5 by 7 area. But as you can see, we're just going right along here. And now when I come up here, I'm not going to come all the way to the corner. I'm going to come up an inch down from the corner, because now I'm going to create my grid going across. And we're going to continue every inch, and all you've got is blue boxes where you're left mouse clicking. Those are our control points. And we're going to continue to come down. And we don't need to really do the bottom one, because of course every time we came across we basted an inch across. So now we've got this 1-inch grid system. I want you to right mouse click, and now you have digitized a 1-inch grid. Notice it's the last color in our sequence view. I want you to left mouse click on it and select your grid, because we don't want it making little tiny 3mm stitches. This is basting. So we're going to come up into our stitch length. Notice under our properties, it gives us the stitch length. Well, maybe it does. Mine doesn't want to do colors right now. Okay, and it doesn't want to let go. Wouldn't you just love it? Oh, come on, baby. Don't give me a... Okay, I apologize, but I'm going to have to do some work because we're not starting over. I'm going to start my task manager here, and I'm going to tell it, well, wouldn't you know, my click to stitch isn't even running here. Oh, Lord help us. Okay, it's gone. Good. All right. For whatever reason, it disappeared. So see, we all have the same kind of problems. I'm going to type right here in my properties view under stitch length, I'm going to type 5 millimeters. That's going to be a long stitch, but it's a basting stitch. So now I'm going to apply that to everything that we've selected here. So now those stitches are 5 millimeters in length. So it's going to be about 1/4 inch long stitches. So it's not going to be hard to take the basting out. Now the only thing we have left to do is notice that we created our basting over the top of our design. That basting should be the first thing to stitch out. So we're going to use our sequence view. We're going to click on color number 1, hold down your left mouse key, and with it held down, don't let go of it, I want you to drag this all the way to the top and let it go. Notice now, under color number 1, we have the artwork, which doesn't matter because it's not going to go to our machine. It's a visual. Then we have our run stitch. Then our design continues. So we have now created our design and our basting for our holiday burp cloth. So again, you will come up to here, say File. You can Save to Sew. Now we're going to put this on a burp cloth. That's a pretty sturdy bird's eye diaper cloth. This Kay's got up here, wonderful. You did not really digitize this. We used a design that was existing, even though we edited it. The only thing we digitized was the basting, and we do not need to do anything special to stabilize basting stitches. So we would pick bird's eye diaper cloth. I did not digitize this design. That would be your choice. Now the first thing I always do, I didn't digitize it, I will go to next. Now we're not actually going to hoop the fabric either. So let's come in here and tell it, no, I'm not going to hoop this, I'm going to stick it down to perfect stick. Then I'm going to go to next. I want it to take care of everything, so I'm going to apply. Yes, I am. When I go to next, it's going to, of course, give me everything I need to do. And when I finish, it's going to ask me how I want to save this. So I will decide what I'm going to save it as. Now first, I always save everything to Floriani C2S. I save everything I do first in my Floriani format. The reason is that format, there is no corruption. That's only a working format. It will not go to anybody's machine. It's just the format this program works in. That way, if I need to make any changes, I get to make it from a fresh design rather than something that's been converted 2 or 3 times. So first I'm going to save it under my Floriani format. I'm going to save this as Burp Cloth, Project of the Month, C2S, and I will save that. Now the next thing I'll do is I'll come File. Now you can go Save to Sew. Again, I would, sorry, we've already done this. I apologize. And I'm just going to say File, Save As, and now I'm going to save it into the format I want to stitch out in. So for me, I'm going to stitch this out on my 6 needle. I will go to Baby Lock, and I pick version 5. Whenever I pick Baby Lock or Brother formats, because it doesn't ask me for the hoop size. Then I will save it on my jump drive. However I'm going to take it over to that machine, I will save it and then go to stitch it out. So I want to thank you for coming to the digitizing portion of our burp cloth for this month's Project of the Month. I look forward to seeing you again next month.